got one from Priya here. So why haven't interest rates dropped in Australia, and when is it likely to happen, if at all? Now, I've been calling February 2025. I actually feel like they might not. She's pretty stubborn. I think Tom Panis calls her Sandra Bullock, but I don't know. She's holding the line, and I think just some things to consider here is this is the changes in interest rates essentially across the globe since 2021. You can see essentially nearly every country across the world was at zero interest rates, or I think there was a couple of European countries which were maybe at a minus cash rate as well. But what we can see here, most countries kind of came out at a pretty similar pace. If we were to compare countries that are pretty similar to us, I'd say that the two countries which kind of mimic Australia the most are actually New Zealand and Canada. They actually went out of the blocks a lot harder than we did. So you can see they rose their rates higher and they also rose their rates quicker. Now, they've started to cut, and admittedly, they're actually a little bit below us right now. New Zealand's not quite there yet, though. But what we're seeing here is that we didn't rise quite as hard. We've now gone through a long pause, and I think the RBA, what they're wanting to see is they're wanting to see just more stability. Their reporting that they have is actually quite outdated. They're not really getting much of that data come through except for a quarterly updates from ABS, so that's not ideal either. So they're quite lagged on some of their decisions. But I think what you'll see is when they do come out, whether it's February or the meeting after that, because they don't sit in January, so we didn't get one in December. So the earliest we could see it happen in February. That's kind of always been my guess along the way. But the employment rate is a big thing that they track. And I think they're leaning quite heavily on the fact that employment's still at a really, really low number. Again, I don't know how deep that data is really reported because a lot of economists are saying that there's chronic underemployment. There's lots of people who are contractors or subcontractors. They're not getting recorded into the unemployment. Some people have gone from full-time to part-time. Again, it's a whole nother rabbit hole. We're definitely not going to see it until February. I think we do need it, but everybody else is kind of ticking along. But I think they're just being very, very cautious. And if it doesn't happen in February, I think it will happen somewhere towards the middle of the year. A lot of the, I think ANZ and CBA's economists, they've pegged May, I think, a lot of them. But again, it's definitely coming. But again, we didn't bolt out as quick as some of the other countries. And I think that's why we're seeing that bit of a pause. But thanks for flicking that one through.